it's Mrs. Sharpley again, and this week we are continuing to talk about figurative language. And today we're going to talk a little bit about idioms. And an idiom is when you have a very common saying that does not mean what you would think it means. There's actually, again, some hidden meaning there, but your idioms are very, very common and people have kind of heard them before. A lot of people in society use them, and it's something that you kind of learn what they mean as you're growing up. For example, it's raining cats and dogs. We've all heard that expression. That is an example of an idiom. And obviously, we do not have cats and dogs falling from the sky. However, it's meaning that it's raining really, really hard. And if we were to take that literally, then that would mean that we have cats and dogs falling from the sky. But in reality, there's that hidden meaning, and that's just kind of a figure of speech, an idiom that is used very commonly. So, oops, I just realized I accidentally glued my bottom piece in here. So I'm going to actually cut that off real quick. Sorry about that. All right, so I have my top piece glued in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue in my bottom piece to make my pocket again. And then this time I'm just going to glue it on the sides and the bottom. Now we have a little pocket for us to do later with our strips. All right, so now when we look at our bottom piece here, it says an idiom is a group of words whose collective meaning is quite different from their individual literal meaning. So collective means all together. So when you say those cats and it's raining cats and dogs, when you put raining and cats and dogs together, its hidden meaning is very different than its literal meaning. And the literal meaning would be that there are cats and dogs falling from the sky, which is not happening. All right, so another example is when Bill joined the military, Dad said he was swimming with sharks. Now, when you're swimming with sharks, there's actually no sharks. It's meaning that Bill was in a lot of danger because, of course, swimming with sharks would be very dangerous. And so that is kind of a common saying that a lot of people use. A non-example would be, after falling overboard, I saw that I was swimming with sharks. That would be very literal. Tips would be when translated into another language, idioms do not make sense. So if we were to maybe take swimming with sharks and translate it into maybe Spanish, then it wouldn't make any sense to them. It's just kind of a hidden meaning in our English language. And then many idioms have historical explanations, which means that the reason that we say them is because of something that has happened in history. All right, so if we look at our top piece over here, it has a section of a piece of the Adele song, Rolling in Deep. And it says, throw your soul through every open door, count your blessings to find what you look for. Turn my sorrow into treasured gold. You'll pay me back in kind and reap just what you sow. All right, so our idioms are actually there towards the bottom, and it says you'll pay me back. That's something that you've maybe even said before. I'll pay you back, or you'll pay me back. It doesn't necessarily mean we're talking about money. Maybe if somebody does me a favor and I say, oh, I'll pay you back, it means that I'll do a favor back for you. And so typically paying back means that you're talking about something that maybe of kindness. So in this case, they're talking about payback in kindness, meaning that we would be giving back. Okay. All right, so reap just what you sow is another Another idiom that is a little more common, reap just what you sow, means that you made the mess that you're in. So if you are, if things are not going right for you, it's because you did things to make it that way. So reap what you sow means you're getting what you deserve. Because if you make problems, then, well, problems are going to come your way. So in this case, reap what you sow means that you'll get what you deserve. All right. Now, when we look at our pocket, of course, we have little strips here that have idioms on them that we'll kind of talk about. The first one we'll talk about says, Shelley gave me a heads up about the planned fire drill at school. So if you give someone the heads up, it doesn't mean that they're actually heads that are looking up towards the sky. When you give someone a heads up, it means that you're forewarning them that something's about to happen, which is a common idiom that we use. Our next one says, I passed Spanish by the skin of my teeth, which means that this person just barely passed Spanish class. So if passing is a 70%, then they must have gotten a 69.9 and the teacher rounded it. It was just barely. Right. Our next one says, when Cam was caught, I knew we were all in the same boat. So Cam got in trouble, and this other person must have already been in trouble. So now they're in the same boat, which is a common saying meaning that we're all going through the same thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about trouble. It can also be, just a kind of a different situation where, I had so many things on my list to do today that things were very, very busy, but Mr. Sharpley, he had his long list too, so we're both in the same boat. We both have lots going on. All right, now if we look at the next one, it says Mrs. White's math test was a piece of cake. And a piece of cake is something that's very commonly used. It means that Mrs. White's math test was very, very easy. And they thought that it wasn't very difficult at all. A piece of cake normally means that something was just a cinch. At the county fair, Jeremy was not a happy camper. Now, not a happy camper is a common idiom that is used as well. It means that, someone is just miserable all day long. So not a happy camper means to be miserable. So we'll put that in our pocket, and then now as we continue with figure of language, we'll be able to find those idioms and work with them a little bit more this week. Have a good one, guys.